Hey guys, how you doing? Now I don't know about you guys, but I am a very superstitious sports fan. When it's game day, I cannot wear anything that's the opposing team's colors. I have my lucky jerseys, my lucky socks. In crunch time, I have to hold the remote a certain way. It's the works, trust me. And I imagine a lot of athletes are superstitious too. Maybe they have a lucky headband or have a certain pregame ritual that they follow. But before recently, I've never really heard of an organization being superstitious. There was a time in 1975, before the ABA-NBA merger, where in the ABA Western Division Finals, the Denver Nuggets and Indiana Pacers were playing each other in a series. And in this series, to try to get the edge over their opponents, the Denver Nuggets hired a witch to cast a hex on the Pacers. Yes, you heard me right. The Denver Nuggets hired a witch to sit behind the Pacers bench and cast spells on them all game in hopes it would help them win. But let me give you some context first. In 1975, the Indiana Pacers finished the ABA regular season with a 45-39 record. When the playoffs came around, they upset San Antonio in the first round, and now we're set to play the Denver Nuggets in the second round. This Nuggets team had just finished first in the ABA with a 60-24 record. They were coached by Larry Brown and had multiple 20-plus point per game scorers like David Thompson and Dan Issel. So they were, to say the least, the favorites in this series. This underdog Pacers team was coached by probably one of the coolest names I've ever heard, Slick Leonard, and were led by a 24-year-old George McGinnis who was averaging 30 points per game. Outside of him, though, the roster was struggling, which is why in Game 2, when the series went back to Indiana, the Pacers knew they had to bring the Thunder. And they found this Thunder in their non-official mascot, Dancin' Harry. If you're like me, and before this video have never heard of Dancin' Harry, let me fill you in. Dancin' Harry, whose real name was Marvin Cooper, worked as a traveling salesman in his hometown of Baltimore. He made his money by singing in nightclubs and by hustling. One day, he even hustled Earl the Pearl Monroe, who, if you don't know, is a basketball legend and was the star of Cooper's hometown team, the Baltimore Bullets. To pay him back, Monroe gave him tickets to a Bullets home game. Over time, Cooper and Monroe actually became pretty good friends, and because the tickets Monroe would give Cooper were close to the court, during halftime or timeouts when music was playing in the arena, Cooper would get up and dance. When the refs turned their back to him, Cooper would actually sneak up behind them and do his dance and get the crowd into it. From this, he worked his way up to putting hexes on the opposing players. After doing this for some time, he garnered national attention and was, for lack of a better word, a free agent. He'd go to other teams' arenas and perform his act for really whoever would pay him. So, in the 1975 ABA playoffs, he gets a call. It's the Indiana Pacers, and they needed Dancin' Harry's firepower. During timeouts, Dancin' Harry would do his signature whammy, which is when he, quote, dance, twirl his cape, and shake his fingers at the other team's huddle. From that point on, the Pacers' opponent was doomed. And doomed they were. The Pacers beat the Denver Nuggets in that game. Now, I'm not saying that Dancin' Harry is personally responsible for any Indiana Pacers victories, but So the Denver Nuggets saw the commotion, the hexing, and the dancing that Harry was doing, and they said, you know what? We could do that too. Indiana Pacers, you're not the only team that can put hexes on other players. This is where Robata, the Wicked Witch of the West, comes in. She was hired by the Denver Nuggets for Game 5 of the series to put a spell on the Pacers during pregame warmups, and she specifically wanted to curse George McGinnis, their best player. So to do this, she brought a life-size cutout of George McGinnis and a smoking cauldron at mid-court and cast spells. And you know what? I gotta respect the hustle, because even when the game started, she did not stop the grind. She sat behind the Pacers bench and throughout the entire game would be casting spells, putting curses on all the players. The whole 9 yards. When we're comparing the legacies of Dancin' Harry and Robata, the Wicked Witch of the West, I gotta say, Dancin' Harry clears. Because despite all that work Robata did, the Indiana Pacers blew the Nuggets out of the water and continued on to win the series, upsetting the Denver Nuggets. And although they wouldn't go on to win the championship, still, it's a pretty awesome story, I think. So that's pretty much it from me, guys. How about you? Do you have any superstitions? Put them down in the comments below. What would you think if you saw a witch at an NBA game? Which team would you hex? Let me know. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.